All right, hey everybody, my name is Hudson Phillips. I am a writer and producer of the film This World Alone, and along with that movie, we have started this really cool anthology book, and we have 30 different authors and artists and that created short stories and comics all set in the world of kind of a post-apocalyptic worlds with really cool, unique takes on it. And today I have Andrew Catter here. Hi, Andrew. How's it going?
It's
Andrew,
going good. Thanks, Hudson.
yeah, Andrew created a very cool comic for us, and he's going to do a little bit of a reading from it today, and we're going to show you some of his artwork. So I'm very excited about it. So first, tell me your background with comics, how you first got into it, and kind of where your journey's taken you.
Yeah, so I got into comics in a roundabout way. I was kind of bored one summer, and I decided to take a workshop up at the Center for Cartoon Studies in Vermont, and I did creating comics for the young adult market with Tilly Walden, and from there, like, I just kind of like fell in love with the medium and like making art and having fun and telling stories.
Yeah, and then you just told me that you just completed your kind of degree in cartoon studies as well, right?
Yep, I just graduated during all of this.
Yeah.
And yeah, it feels great to be done.
Yeah, congratulations. That's really killer. So what was that program like, kind of doing it every day and getting that degree? What does a cartoon studies degree look like?
Well, I mean, it's just comics nonstop. You know, like, I'd go into class every week and we'd have, you know, a week or 2 weeks to completely like come up with the concept, draw, and then like print and finish a comic.
Wow. And do you think that that condensed timeline really pushed your art in a real way?
Definitely.
Cool.
That's kind of how I got into making pencil comics. It's just quicker, and you can get a lot out of like the texture.
Yeah, I love it. So what advice would you give for a young person that is like, hey, gosh, I love comics, I consume them all the time, I'm drawing all the time. How do they get into it? How do they build their art?
I mean, it's simple, just keep drawing.
Yeah.
Like, the best way I built my skills was just nonstop was like in it and just drawing every day. And, you know, if you just keep trying new things and having fun and kind of like following where the fun is for comics, I mean, it can take you anywhere. It took me up to Vermont.
Yeah, I love that. Fantastic advice. I think for any creative outlet, just doing it and kind of following the fun. I think a lot of people put pressure on themselves to do, oh, what is the market looking for right now, or what's hot, what's going to get me published, when really, I think, like what you said, following your passion and just doing what you love is really going to elevate you more than anything else.
Yeah, definitely. That
So
stuff. Oh, go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
I was just going to say that stuff is all secondary. If you're not enjoying it, there's no point.
Yeah, that's awesome. So tell us about your story. It's called Whatever's Left. It's like, gosh, how long is it? 20, 30 page comic?
Just 15, actually.
Okay, gotcha.
And so it started as an assignment, actually. In one of my classes, we had to do a 16-page like short story. And I really didn't have any ideas. I was kind of like hitting my head against the wall, trying to think of anything. And like the first kind of idea I had was like, you know, I wanted to do a story about like going through someone's stuff. And so at first it was almost like I just had this idea of like someone breaking into a house and then deciding not to like take anything because they liked what they found.
Yeah.
And from there, that idea kind of transformed into like, you know, okay, well, I want to like give the story like an emotional core. And, you know, my teacher kind of advised me, like, you know, pull stuff from your life. And I thought about, you know, growing up in Gwinnett County, like I wanted to kind of infuse that feel into it and, yeah, bring back like the element that, like the me in the story.
Right. Yeah. That's awesome. I also grew up in Gwinnett County, by the way, so it's really
Oh,
funny.
cool.
But I have this real passion of, and always have from the very beginning, because I would read comics and stuff growing up, and they were always like in New York City or big towns or whatever. And I always loved, like, I wanted to see like superheroes in like the suburbs, right? And I remember writing stories like that when I was in high school. And some of my favorite stories were like the mundane look at the fantastic, and that's kind of defined my writing for myself. Is that something that's always been a passion for you? I know a lot of your stuff is kind of slice of life, and this feels like that too. But because it's set in this world, it kind of opens it up to something bigger.
Yeah, I 100% totally agree with you. I always wanted to see Spider-Man in the suburbs. But I really love stories that, you know, like I love sci-fi and I love fantasy, but to me it's so much more like fulfilling and immersive when you feel like a character in that world rather than, you know, just like an onlooker, like when you can participate in that. And I loved the idea too of kind of, you know, taking something as big and as scary as like the apocalypse and thinking like, okay, well, like, what are two kids doing? You know, like, how are they kind of compartmentalizing this giant thing? Like, what does their life look like?
Yeah, yeah. And it's so ironic now because you created this before everything went down, and you've got a panel in here of like everybody with the masks. It's really kind of eerie.
It's, yeah, I had no idea. Don't claim to be a psychic or anything. In my head, I had this really terrifying idea too of like, what if a disease could take your voice away? And like, what if that happened on a larger scale?
Yeah, yeah. That's insane. So there's one theme that you kind of play with in here that I love so much, and without giving away the ending, where it kind of lands is it's these two kids in the middle of this world that everything is insane, and they find this one thing in the end that makes them feel like themselves again. And it's a way it's creating art in a way, right? It's doing kind of like what you were meant to be doing. Is that a theme that kind of it really applies to what we're doing with this book here? We're in this crazy world and we're trying to connect with each other. It's why we're doing Zoom calls like this. We're trying to connect around art and connect around creativity. Is that kind of a theme in your own life?
Definitely. Without giving it away, I will say like I definitely relied on like similar outlets and kind of forms of expression.
Yeah.
And I really wanted to, I don't know, I knew from the beginning I wanted whatever story I was going to make to have a hopeful ending. And I wanted it to kind of be like, you know, yeah, everything is crazy and like the world is totally changed for these characters, but like what's something that connects it back to like whoever's reading, and like what's something familiar that's just like, you know, fun and kind of carefree.
Yeah, it's such a beautiful story. So you're going to do a little bit of a reading from us, and we're going to try to pop some of your artwork up here while you do it. So whenever you're ready.
I used to hate being sent on scavenges. It's so depressing thinking about the lives people lived. I barely remember my time before. I was too young. Ymir remembers, but not enough that the silence is unbearable. He has good eyes for this. Me, I'm the muscle. See, I'm empty, untouched, a time capsule, a wasteland kid's dream.
Awesome. If you want to find out more about this story, you can pick up the book. You can learn more at mirrorboxfilms.com. It's available on Amazon, and you can read all of Andre's 15-page story. So where can people find out more about you and kind of follow with your comic journey and see what you're up to with your art?
Yeah, you can find me on Instagram at Andre Scatter, Twitter at Andres_Catter, and on my website, andrescatter.com.
Very cool. So thank you so much, dude. This was fantastic, and I love talking about art with you, and I definitely want to keep up with everything that you're doing so that maybe we can work on something together in the future. So please stay in touch, and us Gwinnett kids can do some cool things together.
Heck yeah. Thanks so much, Hudson, and thank you for like putting together such a cool project. I can't wait to get my copy and just read all the stories.
Yeah, the biggest bummer is that when we order these author copies on Amazon, they take forever to send them. So like everybody like watching this is purchasing it and getting their books well before we even have it in our hands. I still just have the preview version of this, but it's something I'm really, really proud of. And authors like you really made it possible. And I couldn't be more proud of the work in here. So thank you.
Thank you.
All right, we'll talk to you soon. See you.
Bye, Hudson. Stay safe.